Hello everybody, I am Hamid from Meet My Book, and as you probably already saw from the title of this video, I'm going to talk about Crazed Rhetoric and Persuasive Discourse. When you first think of an argument, what comes to your mind? Is it something like this?
Everybody says burgers are healthy.
All pizzas have some kind of vegetable in it, not like the burgers with all the
There's always cheese in pizzas, and that's the most unhealthy thing in the world.
That was an example of Crazed Rhetoric. Crazed Rhetoric is a bunch of raised voices interrupting one another and evidence that are from sources that lack credibility and exaggerated assertions without adequate support. An argument can be defined as persuasive discourse. What is persuasive discourse? It is a coherent and considered movement from a claim to a conclusion. Every argument has a claim or assertion, and it includes the main idea or the position of the person who is making the argument. There are three main types of claims. There's a claim of fact, claim of value, and claim of policy. A claim of fact asserts that something is either true or not. For example, you can't argue that Brazil is the biggest country in South America. However, to turn it into an argument of fact, it has to be arguable, so you can say something like, Brazil has an unstable government. And the second type of claim is the claim of value, and it is saying whether something is good or bad, right or wrong. For example, saying that Ronaldo is the best football player in the world, your criteria for best player are strictly personal. Another person could argue that Messi carries the award for best player in Europe, and therefore he's the best. A claim of policy is basically proposing a change, for example, wanting your parents to allow you to spend more time with your friends. An argument of policy usually includes all types of claims: fact, value, and policy. Once you have an arguable claim, the next step is to develop it into a thesis statement. And you do that by making a thesis statement, of course, and there are three types of thesis statements: a closed thesis statement, an open thesis statement, and a counter-argument thesis statement. A closed thesis statement is when you state the main points of an argument and all the major points that the writer is going to speak about. For example, this is a closed thesis statement. The Hunger Games is the best fictional series of the decade because of its simple yet thrilling plot, relatable characters, and unique setting. An open thesis statement is one that does not list all the points that the writer intends to write about. For example, if you want to argue about Hunger Games being the best novel of the decade and you're going to cover a lot of points to support your argument, then an open thesis would be your best choice. Counter-argument thesis statement is one in which the counter-argument is being presented in the beginning of the thesis. And this might make the argument seem more reasonable and stronger. And this is an example of how your counter-argument might look like. Although there were other great fictional novels written in the last decade, the Hunger Games series tops all of them with its simple yet thrilling plot, relatable characters, and unique setting. Once you have your thesis, the next step is to back yourself up with some evidence that is accurate, sufficient, and relevant. There are two main types of evidences, and the first one is first-hand, which consists of personal experience, current events, and anecdotes, which are stories that you have either experienced, observed, or just heard about. The next one is second-hand evidence, and it can also be divided into three categories: quantitative evidence that can be supported with any numbers and statistics, expert opinion, or historical information. Because you might end up committing a fallacy. And there are four common types of fallacies. The first one is the fallacy of insufficiency, and it occurs when the evidence is insufficient. Second is fallacy of accuracy, when an inaccurate evidence is used intentionally or unintentionally. And the third one is fallacies of relevance, which are fallacies when a person who's arguing starts a new irrelevant topic just to avoid the topic of discussion. The fourth type is logical fallacies, and it occurs when there's no logical connection between the claim and the evidence shown. There are other subtypes of fallacies, such as the false dilemma, the strawman fallacy, and the ad hominem fallacy. There is one classic way to shape an argument, and it consists of an introduction, narration, confirmation, refutation, and a conclusion. If you want more information about argument in general, check the mind map on my website. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and watch my previous videos. Thank you, this was Hamid from Meet My Book.